everyone, it's Elizabeth with Elizabeth G Creations, coming to you today with another card from Mama Elephant. This one is going to be a more simple card than the one that I made in my last video. This one doesn't have nearly as many steps, so if you need a quick, fast, and easy card, you could do something like this card. This card, actually the background that I'm creating was the background that I was going to use for the card in my last video, but I had changed my mind after I had put the characters on it. And I will link to that video so you can see which background I used for that one, and so you can see the card that I'm referring to. So for this background, I am using the Distress Oxide inks in both Tumbled Glass and Evergreen BOUGH. I am blending them on Bristol Smooth paper. This is actually my favorite cardstock to use for blending, whether it's Oxide or just Distress ink. I have a hard time using anything else. So I just used the Tumbled Glass over half of it, and I'm using the Evergreen BOUGH over the other half. And when the two meet, I just go back and forth between the two to get a nice good blend towards the center. And I am using my Holtz Glass Media Mat. I really like this mat a lot. I highly recommend it. If you don't have it, you should definitely get it. It really is a game changer. And another note about this video, this section where I'm doing the ink blending is the only part of the video that I sped up. The rest of this video is going to be in real time. It just takes me a little bit longer to do ink blending, so I just wanted to speed through it a little bit faster, so you wouldn't be too bored watching me go back and forth between the two colors. And you'll see in this video that once again my nail colors changed. I went from having this color changing nail color to no fingernail polish. And here you can see I'm looking at the characters, and that's from the previous video. Now I did lose my video footage from when I stamped this onto my card. This is from the Mama Elephant Peaceful Wishes. I really like this because it's just nice and big. What I did was I used the Simon Says Stamp Clear Embossing ink, and I used it with the Simon Says Stamp Ultra Fine Antique Gold Embossing Powder. And I did use a powder tool to make sure I didn't have any stray embossing powder, so I wouldn't have any gold flecks where I didn't want them. So I'm just heat embossing this, and like I said, this is now in real time, so the whole rest of this video is in real time. So you can kind of get an idea of about how long it took me to make this card. But I actually do make a few at once, like I've said before. So here I am going to be stamping on, there's these two doves in the stamp set. So I am going to be adding those, and I'm going to be embossing them in the Ranger Superfine Detail White Embossing Powder. I really like the more fine embossing powders, and I try to use those as much as possible. So I'm just going to lay out the stamps, the two doves, where I want them to go. And I decided that I wanted one on one corner, and then I want to nestle the other one kind of by the greeting. And the other one's going to be like down in the bottom corner underneath the greeting more. And I like using my MISTI tool because if I mess up when I'm stamping, it's not a big deal, and I don't have to worry about lining up. And because I do make multiples of everything, it does make it easy for me to make it a little bit faster than if I made one day and made one another day. So it's just easier and faster. I do highly recommend the MISTI. I know there's other tools like the MISTI out there, but I'm a big fan of the MISTI myself. So I'm using my clear embossing ink from Simon Says Stamp again on both of the doves. And I'm just going to stamp those and make sure that I get a nice good impression. And then we're going to coat those in the Superfine White Detail Ranger Embossing ink. And I like to use a coffee filter to catch my embossing powder. It's just easier for me because it already has like the little fluted edges. And one thing that I do when I use embossing powder is I do tap it down, like I'm tapping it down into the embossing ink a little bit, and then I tap the embossing powder off. And I feel like I get a better image when I do that. So now we're just going to heat emboss those doves. And I like to set my heat tool off to the side and let it heat up for a little bit so that it's nice and hot so that my paper won't curl as much. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you all of them that I did when I was working on these today. I just cut out the video footage of every single card that I stamped just to save you some time. But just to show you that the heat embossing, when you do it mass production like this, it doesn't take that long to do the heat embossing because your heat tool is going to be really nice and hot already. So that way you're not going to have any warping that you need to worry about. And this only took a few minutes to heat emboss the doves. So it doesn't take that long. And like if you need to make some last minute cards, like you forgot a couple people that you need to send cards to, a card that's simply designed like this one, if you lay everything out and you use your MISTI, you could knock them out in an hour or so if you really wanted to, depending on how many you have that you need to make. But the people who are getting the cards, they're not going to realize how long you did or did not spend on making the cards. They'll probably think you spent a really long time, which is always a good thing. So here you can see what it looks like. So next, I did add a little bit of sparkle to the card, or to the card. I was using the Spectrum Noir clear glitter pen. I like to shake it up really good. I feel like the more I shake it, the more glitter I get, and I get a better flow from the pen when I do this. And I'm just adding it to like this, I'm going to call it a splash. So I'm just adding it to those little like splash areas or teardrops, just to add a little extra to the card, but still keeping it simple and easy. Now I did forget to take the video footage of me adding this to the card base, but this is everything that I did on the card besides adding it to the card base. So there you get an idea of what it looks like. And here is the finished card. It is hard to see the glitter in the picture, but when you see the card in real life, you can really see it really well. So I hope that you guys liked my video. Click like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more. And here's where else you can find me. Thanks!